Welcome back to GMA Summer Series. When singer Kate Ceberano was on GMA this year, we talked about her career.
One of the things I'm very grateful for is that it's a unique experience for a woman in this country, particularly, to have had such a long and diverse career. And
especially at a relatively young age.
Yeah.
Kate, something I wanted to talk to you about. I saw an excellent story on you just recently, and I'm damned if I can remember where it was. But you talked about Kate and Friends, the ABC series, and you said that was a downer for you, and yet I love that show.
Actually, I have to. I'll just correct it, because I felt that I was sort of somewhat taken out of context on that, actually, because I rather enjoyed Kate and Friends and I loved the principle of it. But, you know, journalists, they can often sort of twist these things and make them sound a little bit more serious than they actually were. I think the only thing that I would have liked for it to have been was a little less conservative, that's all.
Right.
I saw it as a Cilla Black show, you know, like where she was a bit more, you know, intimate with her guests and just, you know, got involved with their lives, and because she was so sweet and kind, she could go and talk about anything, really.
And that's how you saw it, or that's how you wanted it to be?
That's how I wanted it to be, and I guess it was just a little stiff, that's all.
Well, what I saw, I just love. Maybe you were looking for something between Kate Ceberano and Elle McFeast, somewhere along the line?
That's right, that's right, and it hadn't really been done until, of course, now Roy and HG and Elle, it's becoming more of a popular theme, really. So, yeah, I guess maybe if I had it again. And also I was quite young, and now as a 30-year-old, I'd probably be more able to hold it and hold my own counsel.
But you see, that's when you say 30, that is so young, and you suddenly realise what a fabulous career you've had at such an early age. And the great thing is, I don't know you all that well, but from mutual friends, they tell me that your feet have always been firmly on the ground. Is that been as the result of family advice, or that's just how you are?
Well, I think it's a combination always. Life and living is a collaborative affair. You don't just do it alone. I have a husband who I love and a family who I adore, and we've always been very, very close. Of course, my very controversial and famous philosophical beliefs, and I think that they all attribute to, in this business, as you well know, there are a lot of times that you feel like it's only you, you know, and at any one of those intervals when I've ever felt like that, or if I felt I was going a bit mad, at least I had that company of people.
Are we talking about particularly Scientology?
That's right, yeah.
Do you know, Scientology, has it been honed over the last 30 years? The reason I ask you that...
I think so.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I worked at a radio station in Melbourne, which was right next door to the Scientology headquarters in Melbourne. And I knew some of the people there, and I found them fascinating, and I found what they believed to be fascinating too. I couldn't take it all in because I was 16, 17 years of age at the time, and I'd come from a very strong Catholic background and so forth. But the Scientology I read about today seems quite dissimilar to the Scientology back then. Is that a legitimate comment? It's
an absolutely legitimate comment, because my grandparents were probably in Scientology at the time. You were probably aware of it.
Right.
So 16-year-old, and were very much there in the founding members of the church. What L. Ron Hubbard, without digressing too far away from the album and things, but I do feel it's important to clarify this, is that it's a culmination of all the wonderful things that have ever worked from a millennium of religions, and trying to bring them into a 90s fashion so they make it practical and useful to a working artist or a working person, you know, and they can use every day. So I actually think you're right. I think it's actually evolved, and it's become more accessible and less unusual or mysterious, Yeah,
okay, I think the whole thing is, it gets down to something which you eventually learn in life, and that is the greatest fear one can ever have is the unknown. And if you just see headlines about Scientology, for example, and there are only whispers and you're not getting the full information, you're inclined to back away from it, even call it evil, simply because you don't know enough about it. It's easy to label, isn't it?
Well, nowadays too, of course, it's a lot more, you know, overt. You can get literature on it, you can ask people questions. There are multiple people who are Scientologists and who aren't afraid to say that they are in media, you know, like, I'm not concerned. I do, at times I feel that it's inappropriate for me to be seen as a spokesperson for the church, because that's not really what I do, you know, and it's a very personal thing for me. But at the same time, it's been very useful, and certainly now that we live in a decade where relationships and life are very difficult to maintain, any help is good help.
Well, see, it's the old story, of course, isn't it? I mean, in any society, if you're going to have total freedom, you've got to have just that total freedom, so long as what you're talking about is not illegal.
That's right.
And harming other people.
Well, this is right.
Yeah. Can we get to the album? Because it really just seems to me that this may be the album that you've wanted to do for a long time.
It's been an album I've been wanting to do for a long time. But as I may have said this earlier, but now that I'm 30, and that's been 15 years in the business, I feel like I'm mature enough now to say, this is me, and I don't need any other tools, or I don't need anyone else to help me prop this image up. It's just me. And when I was growing up, Deborah Harry was the big thing, and Chrissy Hynde, and these were women, you know. Yes. It's taken me 10 years to grow up to be those people, but I certainly hope that now, you know, I'd be seen by a teenage woman, for instance, as like a babe, a woman, and someone to want to aspire to being, and I just feel liberated by it. It's incredible.
Kate Ceberano, and her album is called Pash, and it's a beauty.